The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
At that time, Jesus left for Galilee. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet has no honor in his native place. When he came into Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him, since they had seen all he had done in Jerusalem at the feast, for they themselves had gone to the feast. Then he returned to Cana in Galilee, where he had made the water wine. Now there was a royal official whose son was ill in Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus had arrived in Galilee from Judea, he went to him and asked him to come down and heal his son, who was near death. Jesus said to him, "Unless you people see signs and wonders, you will not believe." The royal official said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Jesus said to him, "You may go, your son will live." The man believed what Jesus said to him and left. While the man was on his way back, his slaves met him and told him that his boy would live. He asked them when he began to recover. They told him, "The fever left him yesterday about 1 in the afternoon." The father realized that just at that time Jesus had said to him, "Your son will live." And he and his whole household came to believe. Now this was the second sign Jesus did when he came to Galilee from Judea. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The first reading from the prophet Isaiah. In Isaiah chapter 65, calls to mind the will of God in creating this world. The account of the creation in Genesis, at each stage of the account, the Bible will conclude by saying, "And God saw that it was good." And then, from this reading, it is an exposition that the world God created has been polluted by man's greed, wickedness, injustice, and selfishness. All these things are not the purpose of why God created the world. But then, in the midst of all these uncertainties of wickedness, greed, injustices, war, and all that, God has not given up in restoring his people. And today he is promising, "I am about to create new heavens and the new earth. And the things of the past shall not be remembered or come to mind." God is giving us this promise, a promise of assurance, a promise of not losing hope, a promise of fulfilling to us all that he has promised. And so ours is to always come with this confidence before him that he who said he will do will always do. The Bible tells us in 1 Timothy chapter 1 that he is faithful to his words. He is a faithful God who does not promise and go back. And it is with such confidence that we'll always approach him. Such confidence, the man approached Jesus in the Gospel of John this morning, coming to him with such confidence, "Sir, I need you to do something." He came weeping, but he left with joy. Exactly what the psalmist recounts this morning. Psalm 30 from verse 5 to 6. He says, "Weeping might endure at night, but joy cometh in the morning." And this man came with joy, with sadness to Jesus, asking that his son be healed, and he left with joy. It is with such a position that Jesus expects you and I to come to him always. When we come with our burden, we live with every assurance that we are not going back with our burden. When we come with sadness, we live with every assurance that we are not going back with sadness. You will recall in first book of Samuel chapter 1, from verse 17, and that woman called Hannah came weeping before God, and Eli told her, "Go in peace." The same thing that happens each time we gather in the Eucharistic assembly of this manner. At the end of the prayer, the priest tells us, "Go in peace," going with every confidence and assurance that the prayer we have led before God will always be answered. And the Bible tells us in Psalm 126, "Those who sow in tears will reap with joy." Coming before God praying, we are like people sowing in tears, and we live with every confidence that what we have sowed, we shall harvest with joy. My dear people of God, let us at this Eucharistic celebration have such trust and confidence of this man, of this official who came before God, and praying that all we came before God with shall not go back with us. We having that confidence that God, the promise he had made to us in the first reading, will also come to fulfillment in our own present time and in our world. May Jesus' name be praised.
Amen.